Two guys in the dark.
I had just met a man, who I will call Joe. At my request, I decided to meet in a Chicago bar with a group of my friends back in October of 1999. We talked, drank, and danced a little bit. Much like many college students, we were enjoying a night out. He seemed pretty cool when I had first met him, the first couple of times. Yet that night of fun had turned into a prolonged nightmare for me. At the time, I was a university graduate student. I never filed a police report about the case. Joe had told me that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me within just a month of being near each other. I decided to back away from him, telling him that I didn't feel the same way that he did. Joe persisted in his attempts to woo me. He had followed me wherever I went. He cried a lot as he begged me to accept him. He would whisper on the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning that he loves me, and then proceed to tell me that I'm very beautiful. It has been 4 years. You'd think that he would take the hint by now. When I had met him, I made it very, very clear to him that I was not looking for a serious relationship. We only went out just a few times, but he kept on calling me and wanting to see me. He said that he wanted to spend the rest of his life with me, but didn't believe in marriage. He had told me that he was new to Chicago and had 3 months left on a temporary job. I later found out that he doesn't have a job. He moves from place to place. He hated Chicago, but was ready to live there just for me. I kept telling him, and I tried to make it clear to him numerous times, that I did not feel the same way that he felt. He refused to accept my rejections. When I started dating other men, Joe had accused me of not wanting a relationship with him because he was black. I tried telling him that his race had no impact on my feelings for him. His personality alone was prone to changing within a matter of moments. One night while we were hanging out, my car happened to get towed. He insisted on paying for it. When I didn't let him, he got angry and then just left. Later on that night, Joe had told me that he wished that I would die. Mind you, one moment he would be saying that he loves me, and then when I would not say it back, he would say that I was a horrible person and didn't think about other people's feelings. Joe ended up moving to Wisconsin in January of 2000, and I thought that I was rid of him for good. But then he started to show up in Chicago frequenting the places that I usually visited. I even had a guy pretending to be my husband call him once to kind of help in throwing him off of my back. Joe knew my daily routine and found me no matter where I went. I saw him in a bar one night. He started telling me that I was lying, that I didn't love him. He was upset that I was not returning any of his feelings. He used to even bring girls to his home, then call me from the neighboring room while the girls were asleep. Even though he knew his actions would upset me, he kept insisting that he would give up all his bad habits if I would just accept him in my life. Despite constantly telling him that I wasn't interested in pursuing a relationship with him, he just continued to contact me. Between September and October of 2001, Joe had called me almost constantly, but then he stopped calling for the next 3 months when he realized that I was not going to answer any of his phone calls. Soon after, the calls once again had picked up. Even though I happened to have caller ID, I would not know when he was calling, as he would call from a different number every single time. He wasn't taking any of the hints. In between all the phone calls, he would move from one state to another, change jobs pretty frequently. Throughout the time that he had stalked me, I continued to date other people. Eventually, one of my boyfriends had tried to call Joe, but since he moved so often, it was difficult to contact him. One of my friends had advised me to hang up the phone as soon as I recognized Joe's voice, but he started to leave strange messages on my phone. My mother had once heard a message saying that I love you at home. My mother did know about him to some extent, and thought that he was a psycho. Somehow my mom really never insisted on calling the police. My mom's the kind of handle-it-yourself type of person, made cracks about it once or twice. I never called the cops to get Joe off my trail, because I didn't think that he was capable of hurting anyone. I did threaten him a few times, telling him that I would contact the authorities if he did persist bothering me. I never thought that he would do anything harmful. Once Joe realized that his phone calls weren't getting his message across, he decided to turn to a new method of communication. He started to mail letters to me. It's not like he would mail a regular letter. I would know immediately that it was him when I saw his letters without even opening them. He would write "I love you" on the covers, and each had a top 10 list. Sometimes the list would describe qualities about me that Joe found very attractive, like a list of my good qualities or the reasons that Joe would love me. He even wrote letters to my family. I became wary on my family's behalf as I was living with them. He even sent a letter to my best friend. That letter even asked my best friend to treat me well and take care of me. During the time that I was dating other people, his obsession became even more serious. He would show up at random times. I decided to move to Georgia, but I kept the same cell phone number until January of 2003. That was when Joe's last directly contacted me. It sucks when you have to change what you do. I thought that I could keep the same cell number after changing states, because it would be hard to give anyone back home my new number. I'm still pretty scared that somehow, some way, he's going to figure out where I am. If people really want to find you, they can. You know, looking back on all this and recalling my actions, I was too nice. I definitely let it go on longer than I wanted it to. As a result of the stalking, I'm now cautious around men, and I'm careful with forming new friendships because Joe really scared me. I go through phases where I get weary of guys. I tell my boyfriends, don't call me every single day. I still am like that sometimes. I will back off if someone gets too close. Joe still contacts my family back in Chicago to find out information about me. If I heard from him today, I would freak out. My heart would just stop. I would say to anybody who has a stalker, contact authorities. If you happen to be on campus, they provide several prevention tips for students who may have the possible victims of stalking. You can also request your name and address to be withheld from the student directory. There's also numbers that you can call. That way you can stay anonymous. Also, if you think you are being followed while in your car, you can make 4 successive left or right turns. If the car continues to follow you, just drive to the nearest police station. Never go home or to a friend's house. You can take self-defense class. There are also courses that can teach awareness and prevention tips as well as techniques to make attendees more aware of their surroundings and to avoid confrontations at the same time. Back in January, there was a big party at a place called Life that a lot of the girls and boys in my grade were going to. I really wanted to go, but I had other plans made for that night. I was upset that I just couldn't go. I wrote a mean post on my spam account on Instagram that was immature, angry, and rude, directed to some of the people going to the party. Rather than accepting that I couldn't go, I made it seem like I didn't want to go in the first place. About a month later, a girl in my grade somehow came upon this post, shared it with other kids in our grade. People started to say terrible things about me while I was within earshot. Hearing this, I decided to go up 4 or 5 of the girls and apologize immediately to the post. Tried my best to make things right. They all said that they understood, and that was the last thing I heard of it for the time being. Fast forward 6 months later, I posted a photo of myself on Instagram with the caption, "Life is good." A bunch of people, including a boy that I previously was hanging out with, attacked this post with really mean and rude comments about me. I was upset that I privately texted the girl who seemed to be leading these comments, asking her why she was writing these hurtful things. She replied by saying, "It's a joke. We're just having fun." She then continued to write more mean things about me, even made a post about me on her spam account, purposely so that I could see it. She threatened me, saying that I deserved this, and that she would hurt me and live stream it for other people to watch. I was scared and devastated when students from my grade, who I thought were my friends, commented about how funny she was and how annoying I was. People from other schools that I didn't even know had chimed in as well. I felt attacked and all alone. My close friends tried to comfort me privately, but no one had the courage to actually defend me on social media. I had this horrible sinking feeling of everyone hating me and talking about me behind my back. Some of my sympathetic friends even wrote to me that they could hang themselves if people were writing these things about them. I was so confused and sad that I decided the right thing to do was tell my mother and my family. My mom reached out to my school advisor, who reminded us that my school has a code of conduct policy that includes a cyberbullying section that all the students have to sign. It states bullying is the creation of a hostile environment by conduct or verbal threats, intimidating or abuse that has or would have the effect of unreasonably and sustainably interfering with a student's educational performance, opportunities or even benefits, mental or emotional, or physical well being, or conduct, verbal threats, intimidation, or abuse that reasonably causes or would reasonably be expected to cause a student to fear for his or her physical safety. This includes electronic comments posted in emails or instant messengers, or on social networking sites such as Facebook or Twitter, or in blogs. The school encourages all members of the school community to report all incidents of bullying, regardless of who the offender may be. The school will take prompt, reasonable action to prevent, investigate, and remedy the bullying. Any student who believes that he or she has been a victim of bullying can report the incidents to the principal, grade level dean, advisor, counselor, school nurse, or the psychologist. We all came to the decision that this was actually cyberbullying, decided to report this incident to ensure my safety, and to try and better our school community and educate others about cyberbullying. I then left for summer camp for about 3 weeks without my phone. When I returned, I learned that the school had contacted the mother of this girl. She defended her actions by sharing with them a screenshot of the mean post that I had written way back. Although I didn't know it, what I had written came back to haunt me. She said it was the reason she decided to write these terrible things about me on social media. I thought about this a lot, and realize now how important it is to be careful about what you put online. I have learned that even though people forgive and forget, things stay on the internet forever, can come back to haunt you later on in life. It is my hope that my story will help other people to understand that even if you feel like an innocent victim, there are always two sides to every story. The internet is definitely not the right place to let your emotions and your angry feelings towards a person or a situation out. I was very hurt by this experience, and I know many of the other people involved also have been hurt and possibly upset. Recently, the girl who wrote all those things about me and I got together. She apologized to me for the things that she had posted. We decided that moving forward, we would both do our best to look out for each other and only spread kindness out on social media. To anyone going through this, remember that you are not alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help and share your story. Look at your own actions. Do not say negative things on the internet. And don't get caught in the moment. It can and will get better. I promise you that.
If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.